Welcome everyone to the Co-Creators Convergence Thursday night Creator Convos. I'm Noelle Marshall and I'm here with my beloved Bob Warner.
Good evening everyone. Thanks for being with us.
And we've been doing this together for about 7 or 8 years. We're very excited for the guests we have tonight. Kathy Mason is going to be interviewing Jodi Serota. And Kathy, thank you so much. We were going to have Joan of Angels here, and she had something come up at the last moment. So we appreciate your stepping in. And before we get started here, I'd just like to remind everyone you can keep your videos off, stay muted, and you will be invited in when Jodi wants to open it up for conversation. So before we begin, I want to tell you all a little bit about the Co-Creators Convergence. So stand by. About the Co-Creators Convergence. And I'm so happy to see you all here tonight to support Jodi in her work and Kathy. And let me tell you a little bit about Kathy, who will be hosting tonight. I consider her a co-founder of the Co-Creators Convergence because she's been with us so long and so supportive. And she is a conscious business alchemist and an online marketing expert and host of Conscious Business Zone. So you can always catch Kathy Mason every Tuesday and Thursday at, I say 12 noon Eastern, she says 10 Mountain Time on Facebook. And she's introduced us to so many wonderful people, and she's brought them here to our Thursday night conversations. So thank you, Kathy, and I'm going to turn it over to you. Really looking forward to this evening. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And Jodi, looking so forward to hearing what you have to share with us tonight. Thank you.
Well, I am very honored to be the announcer for Jodi Serota today, because I'm a big fan of hers. And she is the real deal. She is one of New York's leading life-changing metaphysical educators, working as a channel, vibrational healer, and professional artist. And you'll have to go to her site at jodiserota.com and see her art, because you'll be enlightened and invigorated by the art. It's quite amazing. The way that I knew about Jodi was through Max the Crystal Skull. Hopefully she'll explain a little bit about that. And she, like we both love working in the Akashic Records. And she has tremendous in-depth intuitive abilities. And hopefully you'll get an example of that tonight and have it enrich your life. What we usually do before Jodi comes on is do a little bit of a centering. And is that okay, Jodi, first? And then, okay, just want to make sure. what we're going to do is I'm going to read a decree, for Saint Germain. And basically, if you can see, I'm going the wrong way. If you can see the image, this is the bottom part is you, and the violet flame energy that this decree will pull in will clear your field. And that is actually you at the top as well. So this is just a quick thing to clear, so we all are embodied here and clear in all ways. So it's the I am violet flame decree. Violet flame from the central sun, violet flame from the central sun, violet flame from the central sun, in, through, and around, all under this radiation, this instant and forever. Descend, 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 descend. Defend, defend, defend. Command, command, command. I am, I am, I am. Control, control, control. Take hold, take hold, take hold. Unfold, unfold, unfold. Our victory, victory hold. Expand, expand, expand. Our freedom now demand. In thee we ever stand. I am, I am, I am. I am, I am, I am. I am, I am, I am. Forevermore, I am the only acting presence, which right now sweeps into the physical octave, swift as a flash, perfect as the ascended masters see it. And I demand this manifest, manifest, manifest in all our victory, victory, victory attained right now. I expect this manifest, manifest, manifest in all our victory, victory, victory attained right now. I am this manifest, manifest, manifest in all our victory, victory, victory attained right now. Almighty I am, almighty I am, almighty I am. And that was from the I Am Decree booklets from Saint Germain. So the Ascended Masters are all had cleared the field for us. So Jodi, thank you for letting me do that to get everybody in the same field together.
You also, I feel the energy.
Yeah,
I
me
work
too.
with Saint Germain a lot, and his work is about transmutation, not transformation. You don't have to go through processing. It can just shift things instantly. So that's great that you did that. I appreciate it. Thank you for your introduction as well. I appreciate it.
Oh, sure. So Jodi, we are going through tremendous energy shifts right now. And I'm very grateful that you're here, because I feel you are a clear educator for us to remember who we really are. And I feel that that's a big part of your gift, is showing us that. Do you agree that we're in it right now?
I think that we're in. I don't know what we're in, but we're trying to get out of it. But I don't think we're going to get out of it so soon. I think I'm always stay hopeful, though. That's really important, because we can all get down and sort of feel, pressing everything down and trying to wait for things to get back to what we call normal. But normal doesn't exist anymore for what we were going through. I believe in this whole process of ascension. It's a 26,000 year cycle. And from my understanding, I think we've done this like 3 other times before. I'm not sure if it's that exact, but we didn't make it through. Right. So we're actually beyond, from what my guides have been telling me, we're past that point of where we've gotten to before. So we're kind of in uncharted territory.
Right.
But from what I understand, with all the things that are happening on this planet, on one level, it's happening to everyone in every place on the planet. There's nowhere to hide. So on one level, it's showing we're all kind of in the same boat or planet or whatever. So we can't just say, I can just, go somewhere else and not deal with this. So we have to deal with it. But what I keep being told and bringing through just for kind of clarity on some level, even though it may not make it feel any better, is that, throughout history, there's a lot of things that we haven't fully cleared, and we're trying to move to a much higher dimension, the fifth dimension, which is about the open heart. And from what I understand, the sixth dimension is more of where we can maintain the open heart. So we're kind of in fourth dimension, maybe even sometimes in third, but we're in fourth dimension. But fourth dimension, from what I understand, is about polarities. So all the things that are not in alignment, where we're together moving forward, the only way we can move to that fifth dimension of the open heart, it's unity consciousness. So we have to, even if we don't agree, to just at least have compassion for both sides of the patterns of everything that's going on, so that if you can have compassion, it can move to, as one unit, up to the next level. But because there's so much sense of like, what's the truth, what's the controlling issues, what's, people are trying to hold on to the past, all the things from the past, whether it's racial discrimination, women discrimination, confusion about religion and God and political stuff and empowerment and power issues and all the different things that we've been going through. It's as if everything is coming up to the surface, and also within ourselves, some of our karmic perceptions and belief systems. So everything is kind of seeping up, coming up to the surface. So it's in our faces, and we can, even the stuff with the war, all these things, what are they really fighting over? And there's a lot of other dimensional things going on there. Right. So it's like eons of time of things that have about a lot of separation and polar opposites, we're duality, and we're needing to kind of stop the duality in a sense, or transmute it to be able, but it doesn't mean we have to agree. We can agree to disagree, but we're trying to get to a place where we realize it's, everything has to be for the good of all. But the only way, from what my guides have been saying, to even get to that level is, first of all, we need to open. A lot of my work is also about opening the gateway to the multidimensional heart. So in doing that, we have to, it's not that we have to agree with everyone, we just have to acknowledge that everyone has different perceptions based on wherever they've come from in all different lifetimes and dimensions, and we're all playing out different roles. And unfortunately, it's difficult because we're going from one side of things to the other. We're not there yet, and yet it's almost getting worse before it gets better, because more things are coming up that haven't been dealt with, or just been hidden, or just not been paid attention to, but for reasons, because it comes back to who's more in control. And we're going through what's really what's the truth, and what's the truth for ourselves, and how do we decide for ourselves, even while so many people are going through the two sides of things, even within ourselves. One minute it's like, well, maybe it's this, or maybe it's that, and it gets confusing for a lot of people just to live together on this planet and somehow find a way to find sort of like a happy medium, so that's, and also with ascension, usually there's a death involved in ascension. You go through a death to be able to go to the higher realms. You get a bigger picture, sort of a review of your life, and what, getting a sense of what was I here to learn about? What was I here to grow through or evolve through? How did I do? And, whatever. So a lot of people are really depressed. A lot of people also in groups are dying. They're leaving. Some of them I was told were because they couldn't handle the shifts and the changes that would have to take place, because our physical bodies also have to move to these higher frequencies. So a lot of people who are really sensitive are going through a lot of shifts and changes and feeling all sorts of stuff. A lot of people feel like they're getting sick. It's because their bodies need to kind of align with the higher frequency of their soul expanding and going into new frequencies. So there's a lot of interweaving and integration that has to take place. Something else. Oh yeah. So the other part of the death piece, I was told, was that we've come in with so much experience and memory of things from all different lifetimes, karmic. I do a lot of work with clearing karma with sound, and also we channel the information with the Akashic records. But the death piece in this ascension is still there, but it's not necessarily that we have to leave physically, because the people that are leaving physically, some of them won't be able to go through the shifts and changes as easily. Some of them are leaving either on their own or together as groups because of like all the bigger disasters, because they might be able to help more on the other side than being here. And it also, we pick and choose how long we're going to be on the planet and come in and that type of, from what I understand, what I believe. So the death piece, though, in this, which is uncomfortable for people, is the idea that there has to be some form of a death in relation to ascension. So it's the letting go of the identification of who we thought we had to be based on lifetimes of suffering. So it's kind of going from suffering to finally thriving, you know, and or going through the illusions of things to coming into the truth. So it's like, what's the truth? What's the illusion? What's, you know, do we still carry with us these energetic charges or miasms, like knots in our field, or our etheric field, that are kind of holding us into different alignments and beliefs and perceptions? And some things have been passed down through lineage, generations, and ancestries of fear instead of trust, or there's all of these things. So that piece of death, that death piece is the letting go of the identification of who we thought we were. So as we're evolving through all this, we're also letting go of things, whether we're even aware of it. Some people are working on it consciously, but so as we're moving through all that, it's almost like the old sense of ourselves there's nowhere to grab onto. The way that people keep saying, let's just get back to normal so we can know what's going on. We can't really know, and we have to almost not know to yearn for the knowing, to be able to, you know, our souls looking for what's true, but it's not all about what's true out there. It's what's true within ourselves. So we remember, why did we even come here? Why did we choose to be here? This is really an amazing time on the planet. It's just that things happen in cycles. This is a 26,000-year cycle, and it's only happened 3 other times, when there's an alignment with these stargates that are bringing through sort of I look at it as a pillar of some sort, where you can have this gateway for all this higher frequency energy, and all the guides are around, and people are getting more connected now and feeling the presence of these helpers to help us to get through this, to come back to a unity consciousness, to know and remember that we are really all of the same source, that God consciousness, or whatever you want to call it, God, but whatever you want to call it. But it's a frequency. It's an all-inclusive frequency. It's not and it's love. Love is the same thing. It's an all-inclusive frequency, and it has no conditions. If there's a condition, usually when you're sick, when you're ill, even people who are pregnant, they say, yeah, I'm in this, I have this condition, or I'm in this condition. So when you have a condition, it's a different frequency than what love actually is. When you're in that place of love, it's all inclusive, all accepting, even if you're not the same and doing the same things or thinking the same way, but it's an acceptance and most people have some sense of what that is. So even when you're with a pet, you know, it's more unconditional with a pet. The pet can be biting at you or doing whatever, barking, or you can yell at the dog and the dog will come right back up and love you. So it's like a lot of people, I think, are buying more dogs these days, or cats, or just animals that we know that we just could keep our hearts open. So it's a really important time to really pay attention as best we can to keep our hearts open, and to be able to give and receive love to and from ourselves first, and then to be able to do that with other people, and then to really have compassion for the whole world. Like the Dalai Lama walks around, and his whole thing is about, you know, all these old masters, the masters of the past. It's all about love. It's all about compassion. It's all about that unity consciousness. And we're still trying to learn this. And it's like a grand initiation. And when the masters of the past, whether it was Buddha or Krishna or whoever the beings were, they all had to go through initiations so that they can remember what they already know and trust that they have everything they need within themselves to be able um, to move forward and be involved with everyone. So we're also, as we're evolving, we're going through these initiations, and this is a major grand, and it's like a whole, the entire world is going through the same initiation, and the Earth, from my sense, is that the Earth has been already going through for much longer than what we're doing, going through her ascension. So it's as if she's invited us to be here to accelerate during this ascension time, with all this energy being infused into the planet and into all the inhabitants, the Earth herself, with her going through this ascension and her anchoring us with her gravitational pull and keeping us here while we're still connected to the God energy, source energy of love. We're going through this experience in a quickened way. It's like an acceleration of going through all the shifts, and almost like going through it's like a grand initiation that probably encompasses all the initiations that we've already gone through, to remember what we learned from that, but involved and embodied. But also, and it's really important in terms of embodiment, if you're going to be on this planet, we have to do it through the physical body. So we have to be grounded and connected, and it's like a grounding wire on a like a radio or something, where you're turning the stations, and if it's not really grounded, get interference, so you get overlaps of stations. So we have to really ground ourselves and anchor ourselves into the Earth, so that we can really feel our presence here and recognize and accept the original higher conscious choices that we've made before we even came into this planet. So, because this was a major deal. I mean, we've been on the planet before, but this one is like where we actually can get to move through this and get through that whole thing and kind of put it behind us and be in that place of alignment with the greater whole. So I don't know if I answered whatever question you asked me. I don't even know if you asked a question. So did I answer anything that you might have been?
Perfect. So it's so perfect. You said so many things that I could have commented on, but then you answered them right afterwards. So it was perfect. It was so perfect. Which of course is because you're tapped in. The one thing that you mentioned is about depression and people struggling with these photonic energies that are coming in, and they're illuminating what Saint Germain would call them obstructions, obscurations, which create from the light, create shadow and show where you've got stuck energy. Are you seeing a lot of the people that you're working with, and I assume you have a group of people that are that you work with a lot, or that you play with a lot. Are you seeing anything evolving to help through those because it's like global consciousness depression feeling? Are you seeing anything that works to help that?
Well, some of it I believe is from carrying a lot of things from the past, from past other lifetimes on the planet, but also other dimensions. We also have these timelines where we're, in all different places simultaneously throughout all time, space, and dimensions as multidimensional beings. So, but there's so much going on. It's almost like we're being bombarded from everywhere around us of all the things that are, especially on the news, you get all this stuff of this one was shot today, and that one did that, and this one did, all these things that they show the things to us that are devastation, so, we want to get a sense of what's happening, but my suggestion would be to do the best we can. There's so many people that are so sensitive, empaths, that they're taking on the vibration, the lower vibration. We need to maintain, the thing I would suggest that as best we can, is to maintain the frequency of our higher vibration, whether it's through meditation or just focusing or doing whatever you do to do that. But the more we hold that sense of the higher frequency of our own energy and not kind of match it's like, I remember my guides used to say to me when I started doing hands-on healing with Reiki years ago, they said it's like if you take on, if someone falls in a hole and they're yelling and screaming and crying that they need someone to help them, and instead of jumping in with them, and then you both have to figure out how to get out, you throw them a rope. You might hold the rope, but you have to assist someone to assist themselves. So they have to be able to climb out or somehow or hold on. But you can only assist someone to assist themselves. If you actually step into, it's almost like if you're doing that, you're taking on the karma of the other person. So you're adding on more karma to assist someone to assist themselves. And not everyone is ready to do that. And not everyone, and we need help. There's a lot of people that are so depressed. Part of it is that we're so used to having, we're meant to have the collaborative energy of, in terms of human existence. So, but then all these other things come into play because so much stuff is coming to the surface out of the polarities of this fourth dimensional stuff, that we get caught up in the dramas of and we see stuff online, on TV and movies, and they show all this stuff. So we're constantly being bombarded. At the same time, we're being bombarded with a lot of I don't want to get too far into this, but just to touch on this a little, there's so much frequency. I live in New York City. I'm at a point where I'm not sure if I could stay here anymore. It's like between the noise, the crime, the sounds, the energy, the frequency, the environment, whatever, the air, it gets to a point, but then like, where do you go? I have so many people, including myself, going like, well, if I just didn't live here, where would I go?
Come to Colorado. I was going to say, how are you living there with the noise? Just even the noise would be hard. But when someone said, come to Virginia. So
Virginia.
Yeah.
I think to Colorado. Colorado is really nice.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like, it's everywhere. So it's like there's a lot of people that just want to just hide. And then other people just say, I'm immune, let's just go. Let's just be where, and then people get sick, so, but the question was about depression. So, but depression is when you're pushing down the things that you don't want to deal with. So ideally, if you can do it or you get help to do it, I work with people where my guides kind of unravel the patterns from all different times, that whether it's this life or other lifetimes or dimensions that we have identified with. And you might have been someone who's a speaker in this life, but has trouble with whatever, but they've been killed and tortured or made to stop speaking out, or whatever things are being pulled away from people they love. And there's so many different patterns of things that we're working on, and also all the things that are coming up to the surface that have never been fully transmuted or shifted, like all sorts of discrimination and all these things are coming up because they have to be looked at. So in a way, they're being played out again to be able to finally get to the point where we have to figure out how to manage it, but not with just controlling it from another polarity. It has to be like a way to have compassion, because things have not been so great in all these other times. Have compassion what people are going through now, and compassion for what ancestry is, and all the things lineage and people have gone through. A lot of that stuff is passed down energetically. So we're not only clearing the physical parts of this, we're clearing the emotional, mental, and spiritual parts of this. And not everybody is paying attention to all those parts, and you may not have to do all of it, but it's helpful to really look at the whole being on so many different levels. And this ascension process is helping us to remember ourselves as multidimensional beings. And on one level, that's kind of exciting for a lot of people. Another level is it's a lot of responsibility to kind of hold that frequency. But we came here to do that in many different ways. But we came here before we came onto the planet at this particular time. I believe that our souls choose to come here or do whatever, go wherever they're going to go, but have chosen from a higher conscious point of view to come here. But when we came into the physical form, sometimes now more children are coming in more awakened before and home remembering because they have some parents that are also helping them to remember. But a lot of us had a sort of like disconnected to remembering that we chose this. And it was because this is an unbelievable time to be on the planet, to be part of this. But it's also an unbelievable thing to have to go through all this. So, but we are here as beings that are, if you're on this call, all of us are here because we play everyone does play a particular role in the bigger picture. And so many people are trying to be what other people are, or not feeling not enough or whatever. It's like a big giant puzzle, and there's a spot for everyone. And if you can get into your spot and not try to be what somebody else is, or feel less than or more or less important, once everybody gets into their right spaces, then the whole picture forms, and you get to see the lines kind of disappear, and you see that you're part of the greater picture. But we don't always get that because we're just going through our own personal stuff. And so all these things that are happening were kind of meant to happen in this time period, this 26,000 year cycle. Everything happens in cycles. So we're further than we've been before, from what I understand. So we're in uncharted territory, but on a higher level, we made a higher conscious choice to be here. So a lot of the work I do also is to help people, because they're usually like, if they have not really accepted that original higher conscious choice as a good, right, and safe choice, because it's harder, it seems more difficult in physical form, they're usually like half in the body and half out. Right. So there's always some way of having to bring them back in and remember from the whole being that you, in that wholeness, that original higher conscious choice was a good, right, and safe choice, so that you can now feel more, which when you're depressed, you don't feel all that. You don't want to feel all that. So you can feel more deeply. And in that, you can then make higher conscious choices, feeling that and knowing that your choices are good, right, and safe, the way you knew that before you came in. So, but it's about bringing someone into that to remember, because it's so important to be in the body. I mean, for me, I work so much in multidimensional levels, the day-to-day stuff. I'm like, can somebody else do this for me? But it's like forcing me to like do like the paperwork and the, whatever. So, but I'm so much more out in this whole realm. So it's harder but some people are more the other way. So just opening up possibly, so to all these other things. So, but it's a balance, and everything is about balance and structure. And also that also interweaves with the masculine and the feminine energies, because your feminine energy, we all have masculine and feminine energy in all of our cells and our whole being. But in order to really work with all of that, it's like the two parts of your soul that are the true soulmates, when people are looking for their soulmate. So it's the true soulmates, mates of the same soul, and they do two different jobs. They maintain who they are. They don't compete with each other when it's in balance. But your feminine is the part that is the one that has to be, to feel, to know, and also is the creative and intuitive and the receiver and being received. The masculine is more logical, practical, intellectual, not men and women, just everyone within ourselves. So the feminine, you have to sort of stop to feel, to know, to give that direction to your masculine, who takes it out and makes it happen and tangibly manifests it, brings it back to the feminine to give. She receives, and it's like a full circle from the passion, from the feeling of what. So you have to, I've done a lot of work for myself, but also with other people, to really bring that in, because what'll happen when you start to really work that way, first of all, it takes you out of survival mode. Because if you're not getting the direction from the feminine, your masculine energy, well, the feminine sometimes doesn't want to have to feel as deeply, because, so that's when people go into depression. They don't want to feel, they repress things, they push it down. So then the masculine doesn't really know what to take out, but the masculines, that's the feminine's part of you that would be in survival. If I just put one foot in and one foot out and don't really stay in and feel everything, the masculine, his survival would be, again, it's the masculine and feminine within all of us. His survival would be he's the one that's more intellectual, logical, practical, but he would be more like the doer. He puts everything into motion. So if he's putting it into motion, but he doesn't really know what he's trying to get to, he uses the will. So then you get exhausted because you're using your adrenaline energy to get everywhere. It's like being in a war zone and you have to keep hiding and running and hiding and running. The feminine is like, I don't want to have to feel, it's too much, I can't handle it. You have to heal those parts. And there's all different dynamics around this, but you play out these roles a lot with people. And whether it's just, general relationships or love relationships. So the more you unite these two as one, when they work together, they become greater than the sum of the parts. And they maintain who they are because that's what their purposes are. They're not meant to do the other one's jobs. So, and you can actually create a lot of things with your will. You can make things happen, but you don't get to feel the satisfaction of having created it because the feminine's not there to receive it. So you can be someone like when someone who's known, they say, oh, this one created this and that, and they were involved in this, but they may not have been as happy because they never, even though they maintained constantly creating and manifesting things, but to receive the experience of having done that, if you don't have the feminine in place, you don't get the satisfaction. So it never feels like enough. So it's all these we're in survival mode, trying to come out of survival mode from all these different time frames, from all these different lifetimes and this lifetime and other dimensions. While we're in kind of a survival mode right now. So it's bringing all this stuff up to the surface because it's mirroring, the things outside of us are mirroring what we need to really move through. So in the work that I do with the Akashic Records, they start to unravel all this stuff and make sense of it and bring in, instead of make it the whole picture, they bring in the whole picture rather than pieces of it. And then they work with sound. I'll do some of this in a little while, but the sound helps to clear energetic charges, transmute them. And they go back. It's like they go back. You don't have to go back with them, but they go back to, it's almost like all the timelines of different lifetimes. They go back to where that first began of that particular pattern. They go back through your energy. This is what it feels like to me. They go back and they go back to where that began. So it's almost like erasing it with the sound so that everything else can't exist anymore, but they bring the erased coming back to the truth. And then they bring it energetically with sound back up to you and then kind of bring you back down as if you're coming back on track. So it's dissolving the past so that you only take with you what is important and needs to be remembered or embodied. And but I do it quicker. It's a quickening of all this because with its frequency and energy. And but they give you a sense of what's going on and why, what the actual pattern is, so that you understand it. So it's like letting go of the charge and then they go back and do that. But and then the light languages that come through me are a combination of energies from the earth plane before humans inhabited the earth. So it's like starting from a clean slate. It's like it's before karmic patterning began, before humans inhabited the earth. But it's also in connection through me. This is what light language is. It's connected to the star systems, the planets, and beyond the beyond, so that you get to experience yourself from all these different these places of the stars, the connections to the stars, the planets, and beyond the beyond, and with your connection to the earth. So you get more of a multidimensional experience, remembering that you're multidimensional and get to come into that more fully. Then the light language also awakens your codes of your consciousness. So we have all these codes within us, but it's like anything with a code. You have to get in it's almost like a code. You have to listen for the right numbers to get something open. They use the light language to awaken whatever is holding those things in place. And now there's a timing that certain codes need to start to be awakened so you can embody more of your wholeness. So you can remember why you came here. Remember you have a reason for being here, or just to know that it's okay that you're here and that you play a part in that bigger picture somehow. And that even if you don't think you're doing anything, your presence is there, is here. That's a big part of it as well. So it's not about we're never enough. A lot of us tend to think we're not doing enough, we're not enough, we can't do this. How am I going to get there? And then but they're going back to full circle. That with the depression piece, when you're depressed, it's really important if you can recognize that before it gets too deep, or go get some help, because once you start pushing down, it's, unless you're working, you can work through therapy and all these other things which are helpful, but I find that working energetically also, it's sort of it's like infusing you on every level to be able, with the intention that is to awaken you again, to be able to feel again, which is to help you to open your heart center so that you can feel love for yourself, you can feel compassion for yourself for even going through what you're going through, and also forgiveness for the things that a lot of that stuff comes from, because things have happened that were difficult, very difficult for a lot of people. So forgiveness is really for ourselves, to forgive others so that we can move forward. It helps to move things through so that you don't get stuck with them. So you don't want to be going right to the same place energetically, because then you're both stuck and nobody's doing anything to change it. So it's really for ourselves to keep moving forward. And we're here to really evolve and remember who we already are in that wholeness and in that strength and that sense of that we make a difference.
Well, I wanted to also share about your art, because a lot of what you do is it's affects people at a non-ego, mental level. It affects them viscerally. So your art, your sound, the energy work that you do, all isn't blocked by the ego. It doesn't have to be discerned. Art, music, sound, movement, any of those things are just part of our human essence. And I just wanted to compliment you on your work, at how beautifully holistic it is, that you use the art as well, because it opens up the heart. It doesn't have to go through the whole system, right?
Right. So yeah, and my background is painting. I came in that way. I went to art school, and I studied, painting and printmaking and things like that. So, but over the years, I started to get involved in all of this work, and I sat there with my guides and said, like, what about my art? I still want to do it. Like, do I get to still do it, or do I have to now give that up? And not that I had to give up things, but it was such a big part of my life. So what they told me to do is, they said, this was many years ago, they said, we want you to paint paintings of every color, but just each painting can have only one color. And at this point, I started doing abstract work. So, like I had to go through every color, and I had to paint a painting that was only using one color. So, so then the reason I was like, why do I have to do that? And the reason was that, so I would get the vibrational frequency of every color, and I'd have that within my consciousness. And that, so when I would work with, more colors together or whatever, it was about creating a vibrational painting. And I don't know if I completely understood that yet. I was starting to do all this other work, this meditation kind of things and whatever I'm doing now. But so I did that, and then they said, okay, now we want you to paint the paintings with the intention that they would have healing effects on people, just by the visual vibration. Then the sound came in later, and that was audible vibration. And then it's also visual, audible, and kinesthetic is the energy of feeling stuff. So, so I started to do paintings. I didn't do them in front of people, but I asked people to give me their name, and I would just paint something for them. And there were small paintings, like 9 by 12 paintings, but I would just do these paintings, and the energy people, but even before that, people would say, like, some people would buy some of my art for like their offices, or for where they worked. And before all this, and also, okay, so what happened was, people were saying to me, just out of nowhere, they would say, it's so nice to, like, after work, just look at the painting that I brought to my office. It would just make me feel so calm, or something like that. And I would be like, that's nice. I didn't realize, I wasn't sure about any of this. And then I got involved with doing paintings in a hospital. I kept starting to sell paintings to hospitals. And then I got involved in something where this woman was doing experiments to see if, with different people painting paintings, and then they put them on some wall as you walk into the hospital. So the doctors, the nurses, it was a long-term hospital. It was actually in Roosevelt Island. And so the patients, it was a long-term patient kind of place. So the people were there all the time, and then people would come in and visit. So she did questionnaires for people, and they all, even the people that were in the hospital, they were going there to go look at the paintings in between the wheelchairs, and they would go to this area. So I just kept getting involved with people in hospitals and all these kind of things relating. So I started to realize they kept trying to show me there's something to this. And but then I was still doing my paintings. I still do regular kind of paintings, but they're all abstract at this point. But I still always have the intention that has an effect, a positive effect on people, just by viewing it. And I started to do them for specific purposes. And when I was doing it for certain people, I would just ask them to give me the name of somebody. I didn't have to know the person if they wanted a gift for somebody. So I would just do the painting, and I would sort of in channel, but I would sort of I would say to them, I want to be able to feel the experience of me painting, because that's the part that I like. So, but I'm more of a conscious channel, so I was able to my eyes are open and do, all this kind of thing. So, but when I would tune into someone, I would get all this information. So I created a card that goes with it. And on the back, I would write out the reading for them that relates to the painting. Then people would ask me to do paintings for people getting married, for the two people, and the whole bit about love and all these things. So I did. First, I was doing just plain healing paintings. Then they told me to do past life power paintings. So I'd get all this information about past lives to help them to clear things from the past lives. And it would be empowering to them to be looking at the art. So, and then when I started to do light language, that became a whole other thing that came through when I was involved with Max, the Ancient Crystal Skull. And there's a whole long other piece of that I can get into another time. But the languages started to come through me immediately. And then I was writing them. Then I started singing them, like speaking them, then singing them, and then putting them into my paintings. I don't put them in every painting, but they seem to be in a lot of things that I'm doing now. So, so it became a whole thing with this light language. And the more I kept doing it, the more I would get more information of like, what is it really doing for people? And it's been like a natural progression. So everything for me has been, really, I've been supported a lot, from the guides and from, people that I was with, and, this was making a difference. So then I started to do vibrational healing concerts. So I was doing concerts where I would project my art really large on big screens. So it'd be like you're almost being infused with, you become part of the painting. And then I would do sounds. I had crystal bowls, and I would do sounds, and always use mostly a F-sharp crystal ball that opens the heart. But I'd be doing channeling for people, and then so they would go into meditations and things. Then I would also go into doing work with sound and light languages and all these different things. And they told me that the reason they told me to do this was some people would be interested in sound because they might be interested in music. Maybe they wouldn't be interested in channeling. Somebody else would be interested in art. They may show up. So it was like it gave people different reasons for coming, but then they got the experience of all these things together. So it sort of opened up another doorway for me to be able to use all the things that I do, and keeps expanding all the time.
I love it. I love it. How did you trust all of this information coming through because you took action on every time you were, if they suggested to do the painting or the group that you channeled through? How did you feel like you needed validation in order to trust it, or what was that like?
I think it's a long time ago. I think that, well, the way that I actually even came into all this work was kind of a weird story. I went to school at Syracuse University. I was in art school. Then first semester I went to England and I studied at St. Martin's Academy of Fine Arts in London, and for a semester. And I had been seeing someone for 3 years or whatever, and we were talking about maybe moving in together for the last year of our thing. So I decided to go away and check to see for my art, but also to like, just to know that that's really if I wanted that or not, or if we were just hanging out so much that we were together all the time. So, but when I went away, this person disappeared and was never found. And which is kind of a weird story, because in those days, nobody really disappeared unless, you know, and this guy was a big, tall guy. So they never found out anything. And I found out while I was there, you know, and I kept thinking they weren't telling me what was going on. And I'm a Scorpio, and I wanted to know, like, I wanted to like dig in and find out what is going on here. But my parents, they called my parents, and because I have friends at school, and they said, don't tell me yet anything about this if she doesn't know yet, so that in case Steve comes back or something happens, you know, whatever. But he didn't. And then I got an all points bulletin from like the police and whatever to find him and all these things, and nothing happened. So anyway, they never did find him. But what happened to me during that time is I stopped kind of going to my classes for a little while and just sit. My roommates would go to school and I would just sit there and I would just start. I wasn't doing this work yet, but I was always interested in this work when I was younger, not thinking I was ever going to do it, but I was interested in psychic information. I was also interested in what happens after you die. I used to read books like that. So, and this was just like completely like out of nowhere, like this happened. And I went through a major shift. What happened in that time? I started closing my eyes and imagining myself looking into his eyes and to say, if there's anything you can tell me, even I won't tell anyone if you want me to, you know, I was trying to like do it, but I was doing this thing that I never did before. I started doing this thing where I'd sit every day and from my eyes into his and say, try to tell me something. And I later found out that that was something I learned in an Egyptian mystery school of how to connect to someone at a distance. I've used it with people that I know now, boyfriends and things, like, where are you? Tell me, give me a call now. And they call me like right away. It works every time when they're here, but I wasn't supposed to get that information then. So, which I realized later. I don't know if I'm even answering the question, but I'm telling you.
That is great. Yeah, no, I think that's
tell you this piece. But what happened is what I realized a number of years later, that was a walk-in experience I went through. Because right after that, I was searching and I didn't believe in God to begin with. I wasn't religious. Then I really didn't believe in God. And then this whole thing became my whole search for my connection to God. So not from a religion. I thought I was going to turn into a religious fanatic or something. And I'm not into like the groups that are separated. So that's not what I was meant to be doing. I was meant to be doing all this, but
that's cool.
But it was what happened for me. All these things started to open up, and it was all because I was searching, and I got this download one day because I was supposed to be writing a book that I still haven't written yet. But this was in 1976. It's a long time ago. So the book may come at some point. But so I just I forgot what I was going to say.
You got it download.
Like I did, yeah, I got this thing where I woke up one day and I had this whole beginning of like, it was supposed to be like the beginning of a book. And it said, Scott disappeared and your search began and you thought your search was for Scott, but it was for your connection to God. So that like brought me into a whole different thing. And I wasn't supposed to know, like, cause you know, a lot of times people eventually find out something. I had to complete this within myself. And it's still, I have some of the things, you know, relationships and just things having to do with being close, like really in love and losing people and, things like this, all from other lifetime stuff. So it still pops up here now and then, even though I've worked on it a lot. So, but I've had good relationships, so, but right now I'm in a different place. So who knows?
Oh, okay. Well, I just asked about that because I think that what you do is so remarkable, and the fact that you trust it completely makes it even more potent. And I think that's a journey for a lot of people that are starting to open up. That's why I asked.
Well, when I first started to do all this work, I started doing automatic writing. Just they kept guiding me, and every time I would go, okay, let me try that. But they kept saying, don't ask like what's going to happen. And, they said, don't ask like yes and no things. Ask, how can I best approach this situation?
Oh, okay.
So that I kind of got it felt like it was like this. It was broadening what I was asking about rather than cut and dry kind of things. And then when I started doing little classes, and I'd start to go like, how many people am I going to get? And they kept telling me not to keep asking that. You don't worry, it's all going to work out, And then eventually I started asking again, and then they started doing what I kept, asking. Well, how many will I get? They would tell me, and then that would happen. So, but I also felt the energy always. I was already open. I was open when I was a young kid, and I didn't know how open I was. But people would say to me, whenever we're asking questions or just talking, and you always have the right thing to say that just makes sense. And I would see like an arc of all these things going together, and there would be a space. And because I was seeing this without telling anybody, I didn't know anybody didn't see it the same way. I just didn't understand why they didn't see it once I would say the piece that puts it together. And so I was really quiet when I was younger, believe it or not. That's something to stop talking. I was really quiet until after college, really, because I had been killed a lot and tortured in other lifetimes for speaking out. So even just to be able to speak in front of large groups, because I eventually was doing that. I don't know how many people are on this, but but in person, I was petrified to do that. And my desire, because I got to the point, my desire to be what I was meant to be doing here became stronger than my fear. And it became that it was important. It was a purpose. And they kept giving me guidance. And, I can hear guidance. I could see guidance. I could, hear, feel, see. So, and it was interesting because I hear a lot rather than, I would think as I'm visual, you would think I see stuff while they're talking to me. But I was surprised about hearing stuff but the thing is, I was brought up with, my father used to play jazz music all the time on the piano and all these things. So I was brought up on a lot of that music, but I would never sing in front of anybody. So, and I'm not a regular singer. But I do a lot of stuff with sound and with these light languages and a lot of
it is powerful. It's powerful. I got to do one of your last events and online. So I wanted to see if right now, and you can guide me to whatever you want to do, but we would love for you to share a little bit of light language or whatever gift that this group would really benefit from, if you wouldn't mind right now, and then we can get to questions after that. If you're still on planet Earth.
I'm always here. I'm also here, there, and everywhere at the same time.
Thank you.
I don't really fully leave my body, except maybe when I'm sleeping. But I'm trying to think. I'm going to say a prayer that I usually do before I start. But since you did your prayer, which was wonderful, and I felt all the energy and it just came through. So, but I'd like to just say this prayer also, because what this prayer does is it clears you, the same thing you were saying before. It also clears the space that you're in within yourself, around you, and everyone else that's there with you. So this will clear the space for everyone, even if anything that I was talking about might have brought something up for people. And also it brings in the angels, the legions of the angels and the archangels. So it's also on my website, so you can go there if you want to write it down or use it for anything. Excuse me. So we're just going to say a prayer. Hold on one second. So just take a deep breath and close your eyes and allow your hearts to open. Just sort of breathe into your chest cavity all the way through to the front and the back. Ate Malkuth Vegevora Vegedula Leolam Amen. I hereby banish from my space and all of your spaces all energies which are not appropriate, all psychic jamming, all negative emotional energies and memories which are not appropriate. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Ate Malkuth Vegevora Vegedula Leolam Amen. The atmosphere around us and through us is cleansed and purified and infused with love. The atmosphere around us and through us is cleansed and purified and infused with love. The atmosphere around us and through us is cleansed and purified and infused with love. And I choose to be a clear, pure, open channel of God's wisdom, love, healing, and light, bringing through the highest vibration of God, Goddess energy to read the Akashic records for all of you as a whole, but also for your individual purposes. And to have this be evidential so that it's something that feels tangible to you, whether it's a physical tangibility of the energy, whether the information that may come through might be making sense to you, anything that feels more tangible for you and hopefully makes sense. Again, I don't really know what I'm going to be doing yet, but we'll see. So it's going to be experiential, but we ask your record keepers individually and the record keepers of the whole group that's here today to open the specific records for all of whatever you need to have happen today. So hold an intention of something you would like to heal or clear, have some sort of sense about it. It may even come through light language, so it might bypass your logical mind. And remember, the languages to me are a combination of energies from the earth plane before karmic patterning began, before humans even inhabited the earth. So it's when we came from like a clean slate of karma. But it also helps you to connect to the earth, the star systems, beyond the beyond, so that the planets, so that you get to feel yourself more multidimensional. So it helps you to remember the truth of who you are in the embodiment of pure love, which is the source of all that there is as God, Goddess, all that there is. And that's what we're here to really remember, to open our hearts to feel the love for ourselves and for each other. So just take a few deep breaths. Start with some sounds or languages. Hold an intention. Just one intention. As you work with one intention, it will work on all intentions. O Shanyaram Mararilela Lukurumaro Ambre ki salam mare doro mare Hanera kurushana re braro shokoranare ramarar Ishkianda kalchim lachalelim lakatarim breki turum breshete khar Ekhini malaka nimalaki lamaraki lamaraki lamarate totum barate Parabiresh kador maraki sandharoru Brashananda rashanene kuru paraki sarna dernoru Hanari shatana norumar Omararoyane. Breathe into any part of your being that has not been paid attention to. It could be something where you're depression or repressing your thought forms or belief systems or your feelings, basically. So to allow for a release or a transmutation, calling on Saint Germain to be here also with his violet flame, calling on the energy of the Christed frequency of gold for healing, calling on the Divine Mother Mary to infuse us with blue energy for calming, so that in that calmness we can trust. Wasana sakyala likurutsua. Intikel animanu origir ishkedari vragudhan ezoruturit. Rishachal alaki. We speak to your hearts, we speak to your souls, we speak to the pain, the sadness, the confusion, whatever your system is going through, whatever your soul is going through. We speak to the lowest part of your being, the lowest part of your consciousness, to help to be infused with so much love. Asa, sakyasa, bringing through sacredness, the sacredness of you in human form. Achanaz ashichala malaki, tukorsha, asandi sekoshane, shalakia lakatani barasar, enikir arishurokoya kayana. To bring you back to the truth, to bring you back into wholeness, to bring you back into the strength of your being, to being able to accept your original higher conscious choice you made before you came into this lifetime to be on the planet during this 26,000 year cycle of ascension, to bring you back into the remembrance of that, to reclaim what you already know, to reclaim the fullness of your being. Barashala balagira raruwarasase, in ananu makan, esoko shendigia, khalachale meleke. This is now angelic language. Bachalem lachal echati shachal elekatarar. Eshatachan elalibla alakil alasar. Eshalachal malachan dechale. Ishachal elekiaha. Lachananecha ela elakadishachar. Usonum ratim brake. Om manum some of the high pitches you may not be able to hear through the computer speakers. Just allow yourself to feel it or sense it. And stay in that space, but open your eyes and just look at this. It's written from left to right. This is just pure light language, all different kinds of light language, just so you get a sense of some of it. I don't know if you can see as best you can. This is for awakening your code of your DNA, the codes of your DNA to remember your divine consciousness. So this is just to get a sense of, it has to do with color, it has to do with the actual languages. This was just to get a sense of that. Just going to show you some things, so just keep breathing. Yes, you.
Hey,
You. We're
oh
speaking.
my, this guy told me I needed to connect the hub. I never did.
A few deep breaths. Someone's not muted. This one is star language from other galaxies, light language, conversations with our minds, releasing old patterns of thinking that's blocking our evolutionary growth. Remember, the focus here today is about awakening your codes of consciousness. So this, I'm just gonna, if you can look at it, I'm just gonna keep lifting it so you can't see it because I'm not too close, I can't move back. This is all light language, but energetically, the directions and everything have to do with it as well. It's different things going on through the whole thing. So just breathe it in, visual vibration, the way the others sound, and light. Just gonna go through a lot of these quickly. So this one is for the recollection, just breathe for a moment, recollection of wholeness, galactic light language for interconnection, reweaving the remembrance of multi-universe connection. This is helping you to remember yourself as multidimensional. And they bring in a lot of different languages in here. It's also color is different. You look at the bottom line, it's very different from the beginning. So just take a few deep breaths, close your eyes, and just take it in. And breathe it into your intention, as if holding your intention and saying, I'm letting this all come through. This is about activating and emanating light through darkness. So it's bringing, also has a lot of metallic things. I don't know if you can see it in here, but so you can see it like moving with the metallic paints. So it has, the whole thing is light language, but it's hard to see like this.
Jodi, you need to unmute.
You hear me now? Okay, sorry. So I was in the Metropolitan Museum at some point. I did this a while ago. And I was watching, I always look at the Sanskrit on the thing. So I decided to do something that looks a little bit Egyptian, kind of, but with light language instead of Sanskrit. So, so this is basically initiation. I don't know if you can, kind of looks Egyptian-ish.
Wow.
Can you see it?
Yes, beautiful.
So it's sort of like the Egyptian kind of things, with the buildings a little bit.
Architectural.
Yeah, but it's all light language. So I was experimenting with that. There's another one that's similar, but same time frame. I just did it a little bit more abstract.
Wow.
So it just gives you the frequency of the energy of the drawing of the colors, but also the images and the languages. So just take a few more deep breaths. Okay, so take a few deep breaths and open your hearts. Amma nama namainya namaru ganare nanare mawa. This is for Christed healing and unification of all races on the planet and beyond.
Wow.
It's like a prayer for us to finally get it together.
Perfect.
So that's that. This is just, it's in gold metallic. It's hard to see it as metallic though. Just to give you a sense of different things, what I'm doing with this. These are other paint. This is a big painting that's just for healing in general. It's just a painting I did a long time ago. This is a regular kind of one.
Beautiful.
To show you that I actually do regular paintings. But these are some of the things that are on my website, on the website. These are clearing miasms of limitation, because we're going through so much stuff and it's hard to let go, and then we feel limited, but we need to awaken and open. So this is, did these a while ago also, but I'm just showing you because it's color. A lot of it is about color, and then energy, peace, energy coming through. It's on black paper. I don't usually use black at all in my painting, but I started doing a whole series on black paper. So that's that. This one is more about, I'll try to do this quicker. This is about opening the doorways, basically to other dimensions. It's helping us to remember, like spaces and doorways within all this frequency of light. The light is also color. Color is also light. So just giving you a little sense. So I'm just going to do these really quickly so we can get to something else. I know we're running out of time. This is unraveling limiting patterns.
Wow.
So I really work with a lot with color. Color is really important to me.
Fantastic.
But I started to do these overall paintings, which I never used to do. Like everything is all over the, on the same, just overall. So it's the frequency, it's the vibration of the energy of the painting. Hold on, I'm coming. This is igniting the spark of creation. We're here to create our own lives. We're here to recreate and remember and bring everything together that we know in our higher consciousness to be able to finally create what we want. So this is about creation, igniting your spark of creation. So if you're looking to make something change, if that's part of your intention, this is about creating that, allowing for it to happen and asking the guides to assist us, but our own higher selves to remember what we're decided to do here, that we will be able to accomplish if we stick with it. This one is finding your center. It's hard to be centered with all the crazy things going on in the world. So here's finding your center.
Wow.
So in the center, there's a center there somewhere. So, but it has to do with the colors as well as it's abstract, but there's like a spirally kind of thing going on there. Then this one is opening and healing the heart.
Oh, beautiful. Wow.
But they're all about frequency for me. The frequency of the color, the imagery, the texture, the light. This one, this is one of my favorites. It's called Remembering the Future. So it's remembering what we already have created. Like this is already the future from when we started this thing tonight. So our future, we already did what we were trying to get to, and we're already where we are now is the future of where we were before. So this is all light language.
Wow.
I just like that. They give me the names of these things, sometimes before, sometimes after. But I'm almost done with these. This one is opening unlimited potential. Because if we can remember that we already got to where we were in the future, then this is remembering we have all this potential to be whatever we're trying to get to. And it's already there, it's already written. And this is experiencing being part of it all, that we know we make a difference.
Wow.
So it's got the light language, but it's abstract painting. So, and I have all different times, and this is from a long time ago I did all these, but they still relate. So here's just one that I actually like the color. It's just a regular painting.
That's fantastic.
And then, there's another one. They're all like a little different. These are just little paintings I started doing with textures and light, and just, they're all from different time periods, but just to, this one actually was on my mailing that I just sent out to everyone. And it didn't have the name, what it was for, but I added in color sound for kind of coming into your timeline, like a timeline healing. So these different timelines we go through. So they're just simple, but it's color. So a lot of it is color and texture. So anyway, I showed enough of those. It's a lot. So let's just kind of keep breathing. I want to go into like a prayer of sacredness. We only have a little bit of time left, but I'll do quick. So close your eyes, open your hearts, give yourselves permission to allow yourself to know that you're here for a reason. And the reason is not to suffer. The reason is to be here in collaboration with all of us together. So we call upon the angels and the archangels and the legions of them. We call upon everyone's guides, the hierarchies of all the higher dimensions. We call upon all the highest of the star systems, the planets, and beyond the beyond. We call upon the brotherhoods and the sisterhoods within all dimensions. We call upon the earth. We call upon the ascended masters. We call upon all those that are helping. We call upon our own souls, knowing that we are the masters. We are here to remember our mastery. We have mastery from star systems, from planets, from different timelines, from the greater understanding of our monad, all these different parts of ourselves that are living in different dimensions simultaneously of other parts of who we are. And we have all these parts of ourselves that we want to now feel the integration. We ask about support for integration. Imagine that there's a pyramidic shape in sacred geometry. It's how energy moves through shapes that create different things. Pyramids, not a triangle, a pyramid. Imagine it doesn't have to have walls. It could just have lines, but it goes all the way around you and just around your whole being, underneath your feet as well, so that you can actually feel an integration of this, of all the things that we've done today. Even just the speaking about these things, it also has an energetic effect. And being guided as what to talk about with Kathy. Thank God for the support. Vashanach Malakim. They speak to you. They speak to your heart. They speak to the sacredness, remembering the sacredness of who you are, no matter what you've been through, no matter what you're going through. Hold an intention for yourself and for everyone here and everyone in the world, including the earth, and all our brothers and sisters in all the other dimensions, that we all together, we hold the space for each other as we gather, as if we're almost like in a huge circle or a sphere, holding each other's hands energetically as well as physically, holding our own hands, holding within ourselves a sense of being in that place of alignment, of truth, of centeredness, a place of love, an all-inclusive frequency that has no conditions, allowing us to give ourselves permission to be able to evolve like we were meant to go into remembering the future, remembering that everything we're here to do or be, it's not just doing, it's being also. We are already in our future experience of who we are, individually and as a whole. We've already gotten through it. We don't know when or where, we don't know how long, but it's all divine timing. There's an orchestration that's taking place on a bigger scale that we don't always know and tap into. But there are reasons why things happen in a certain timing. When we say divine timing, a lot of us go like, it's enough already. It's been 10 years. I can't, but it's once you get to that place where you get what you're looking for, then you can logically sort of go like back and look at why this had to happen to that. Because it was all about learning and evolving and coming into a much higher understanding so that you expand your consciousness so that you can get that fuller understanding of things. So it all makes sense. So then you can ground it in at the same time as knowing you're always connected to source. And we're all from the same source. Blessings from all these beings and more that I haven't even mentioned. To let you know that we will all be fine. Know that we are already fine. We just don't know that we're fine. Know that where you are right now is the future of where you were before we started this. So already we're in the future. They say thank you for your presence. I say thank you for your presence to give me the opportunity to do the work I came here to do. Without you, I'd be sitting by myself, which I'm doing a lot anyway because of the pandemic. So I'm working on myself, and then as we work on ourselves, we're also assisting each other. We're here to work in collaboration. I give thanks to everyone. Give thanks to Kathy and to Noel and Bob for putting this together, and Kathy for standing in there for Joan. We put prayers out for Joan of Angels, who was supposed to be here but couldn't. And prayers for everyone on the planet, for all that's going on. hold prayers now. Just hold an intention and send with your heart energy, not just to think it, but to send love energy to all the people you know, people you don't know, to the world, to everything that exists beyond the world. But to know you make a difference just by sending love. Love is the answer. Thank you. I love you very much. Thank you so much for this.
Wow.
Bless you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
We ran out of time. I know. I'm sorry.
Oh, you know what? I think it's up to Noelle and Bob if they
Oh yes, you can.
we can keep
People
going.
want to unmute. If Jody's willing, we're willing to stay longer. If anybody wants to, I can make it so. I think I locked everything. You can start your video, and if you want to raise your hand, if you have a comment, or I'm still breathing in.
Thank you so much, Jodi. That was
Thank you
fantastic.
so much. That was really, and the art. I'm glad this is being recorded so I can go back and, enjoy it again.
Some of that art is on my website. My website needs to be updated, but some of the art is there. So if you're interested
Boy,
in
you should talk to Kathy Mason. So I don't know if anybody wants to. We're getting lots of comments. Just love your art. And what are you painting with on the black paper? It's lovely. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Jodi from Giannia. Evelyn says, thank you, Jodi. Much love to you. It was special to hear you show and speak about your art. Sue says, thank you, Jodi. Flo, she says it's disabled, but it says it's not disabled.
I'll get her.
Okay. Try again. Try again. Beautiful prayers, infinite gratitude. Will we have the opportunity to get the playback? Yes, it will be on the CoCreators Convergence Facebook page. You can just Google us there. It's also going to be on give me about 48 hours to get it on our website, CoCreatorsConvergence.com. So let's see.
So my website is Jodi Serota.
And I'm going to supply you with the recording as well, Jodi. So if you want to send it out, however you want to, you're more than welcome. So
Jodi, one person did ask a question about readings, about past life. And they asked about past life regression, hypnosis versus what you do.
I don't really bring people back into the lives. My guides read the Akashic records. It's like a records of like a library of all time, space, and dimensions of your soul. So they unravel patterns by giving you the information. Then they use the sound to clear to transmute the the lifetimes where any of these patterns began, and then they bring up. It's almost like erasing it with the sound and bringing it up through all the way up without moving the stuff, as if the beginning was not there, then the rest can't hold itself. So they kind of bring that energy up as if it's cleared and cleansed. Then they bring it down through your crown and energetically and kind of put you back on track. And then I work with the vibrational languages to awaken those codes again, to bring you back to the truth of who you really are, not who you thought you had to be. So I don't really, years ago I used to do some of that work, but it's almost like we've been there, done that. We don't need to go through that all over again. It's more that they give you the understanding about all this, and it's like unraveling the pieces so that it can't hold itself anymore. And then they use the sound to make sure it comes back into the appropriate way of how it should be.
You're a magical being. Thank you
absolutely.
so much.
And we are going to have you back. I'd love to, have you back and talk about the crystal skull experience and.
The crystal skulls are also, I was telling you earlier, the energy of the languages came through when I was with Max, but and I have the green jadeite skull, but there's a whole other piece that they told me why I'm connected to these languages and the skulls, because I feel like I do enough things and now I have to do a weird thing with skulls. So, but they gave me the understanding of what that's related to in relation with the languages in relation to all the different star systems. There's a whole other piece that I almost forgot about for a while. So that started coming to me as I was trying to think about what we were going to talk about for today. So maybe that would be a good thing to work
It
with.
was
Wonderful.
perfect what you
Wonderful.
did. It was perfect. And we
It
can do
was
more.
beautiful. And when the angel song came in with the high notes,
Are you able to hear the high notes? Sometimes you can't hear it. You just
yes,
gotta,
yeah. And Olivia said yes, the crystal skulls would be great. And
Magi could hear the high notes.
I think there's a dog somewhere or something.
She's right here. That's why I'm jumping around, dog sitting too.
Oh,
But she definitely heard all that.
oh.
Well, we're very, very thankful. There's a lot of blessings and gratitude in the chat. Daphna is here.
Hi, Daphne.
Yes, she's been our guest, and you can find her recording on our Facebook page. We had a wonderful time with art and music, and yeah, it's wonderful to have you back. So,
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. This like revitalized my reason because I was going through, I've been alone a lot and I've been sort of thinking like, what am I doing? I've been going through like, what am I doing? Like, why am I, what do I really want to be doing? But when I'm in these things, just
I
make
have
Well,
another.
this is where we hang out
Yep.
for everyone to bring their gift to the shift in humanity, and that's
Thank
where
you.
it was to be this evening. Thank you.
I want to play more, that's for sure.
Yes, yes.
I might need to call you to help me with the marketing part of what you
Yeah,
mentioned.
well, or honestly, I just think that what you're doing, seriously, what I said before about combining all the different aspects, it's the fastest integration into the human is through the art and sound and your light language, I consider sound. And you don't have the ego blocking, the reptilian brain doesn't go, uh-oh, unless it's loud, it doesn't put up a defense. It just goes straight in and can shift us. So it's magical what you do. It's so cool.
It is. So I'll be talking to you about the end of June. We have a Thursday night open then. So it'd be wonderful to have you back. And so thank you, everyone. And we'll go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording.